Plants vs. Zombies has a lot of games. You got the original main series tower defense of Plants vs. Zombies 1, 2, and 3. You have the Garden Warfare sub-series with Garden Warfare 1, 2, and Battle for Neighborville, card game Plants vs. Zombies Heroes, physical games, and arcade games. Speaking of the spin-off shooters, there was a cancelled game that is never discussed online. You won't find anything around it if you search for it, not even on the PvZ Wiki. As the self-proclaimed PvZ nerd, I'm going to spread my light on it. So this is the cancelled Plants vs. Zombies shooter. First off, I need to clarify that this is not related to Garden Warfare, although some sources would say it is. It's not. Garden Warfare was being discussed in late 2011 amongst EA and PopCap people, and started conceptualization in early 2012. The game was developed by the PopCap Vancouver team, not Seattle. PopCap Vancouver makes all the PvZ games using EA's Frostbite engine, so the PvZ shooters and Project Hot Tub. Seattle made all the old games, PvZ 2, Heroes, and 3. This shooter game, however, was not developed by either of them, but rather PopCap Shanghai, PopCap Studio in China. It's not a surprise if I told you that Plants vs. Zombies is insanely popular in China. Everyone loves it. They have their own exclusive games, books, merch, collaborations, and even parks. At the same time in 2012, while Garden Warfare was in development, so was this game. What makes this one even more interesting was that it wasn't developed independently by PopCap like the rest of their games. This was done through a partnership with the studio Spicy Horse Games. PopCap Shanghai had struck a deal to make this game with them, though it didn't get even close to a quarter of completed development. It never saw the light of day and was quietly swept under the rug by all parties. PopCap was incredibly dissatisfied with their deal for a multitude of reasons. The biggest one was because Spicy Horse Games didn't understand the appeal of Plants vs. Zombies. In one of the prototypes, the plants and zombies held realistic firearms, and PopCap had to explain to them that the plants were the weapons.
And I remember there was also a prototype, and I can't remember who the ones were who made it, but the plants all had guns, like actual like firearms, like armaments. And I remember the folks at PopCap having to tell these guys, like, well, okay, first of all, the plants are weapons, right? The plants, so you're missing the point on that. But also, like, we can't have guns in our games.
Yeah.
We are PopCap, and we can't have firearms in our games.
Which resulted in Spicy Horse making more guns that were themed around PvZ's plants. The chance of any more information about this game surfacing is most likely never going to happen due to PopCap Shanghai being basically non-existent nowadays, as most of the Chinese content is done by other companies like TalkWeb, and to add insult to injury, Spicy Horse Games closed their doors in 2016. We only have a few glimpses of concept art from a developer's portfolio, and in the book, The Art of Plants vs. Zombies. One drawing is a headshot of Basic Zombie and Gargantuar, 3 drawings of plant characters, 1 zombie, 7 drawings of plant-themed guns, 4 drawings of explorable levels, and 2 doodles of house props. Majority of what I'm talking about is pretty old, but there is some information out there that was recently put out. A few years ago, a video called The Oral History of PopCap Games was uploaded by MinMax, and it was briefly discussed when talking about Garden Warfare.
When Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare was still just something that was being talked about. It was still, I don't know if this had been talked about by others, but like the first iteration of that actually came from American McGee, of all people.
What?
So yeah, American McGee and his group over in China they had developed prototypes for a 3D PvZ as a shooter thing. It never saw the light of day, but I was actually there and saw it running. So that notion had been around for a while before it turned into Garden Warfare.
This is not true. I don't think Jeff Green intended to spread misinformation, but I'll clear it up. Both this game and Garden Warfare were in development at the same time. I think he saw this game and knew it got cancelled, and saw Garden Warfare release a few years later and assumed that the game had evolved into Garden Warfare. When EA acquired PopCap, they immediately began discussing new games using Frostbite. A bunch of different genres were tested, but they landed on a third-person shooter, which eventually grew to Garden Warfare. A lot of people would probably be disappointed that this got cancelled. Truthfully, there really isn't a reason to be. Yeah, it's a shame that a game got canned when parts of it looked cool, but there are many factors in place that would have soured the experience. For starters, This is a game made in China, for China. Majority of the people watching do not live in China, given that you're on YouTube, a site banned by the Great Firewall. You wouldn't be able to play it if you wanted to, since there's usually a lot of required details when signing up. Look at the effort you have to go through for PvZ2. Yeesh. Alongside that, the quality control for the Chinese side of PvZ games tends to be not very good. I have no doubts that this game would be very different, considering that the team behind it struggled to grasp the basics of what gave PvZ its unique identity. We also have no idea how it would have even played. It's not by the Garden Warfare team, so it's entirely up in the air. That's all we know about the cancelled plans for the zombie shooter. If you enjoy content surrounding PopCap and their games, feel free to subscribe and become a channel member. Thank you for watching.